Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Now, the Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago is celebrating its 23rd anniversary. And so joining us this morning to talk more about it are the president of the association, Michelle Saunders-Clavery, and Public Relations Officer, Yemi Ogumbanke. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
We are so happy to be here.
Michelle, we were talking off air and you were saying you're turning 23 in 23. Love that tag. That should be a slogan,
Yes.
by the way.
Yes.
But tell us about the Alzheimer's Association of TNT.
Well, the Alzheimer's Association, it was started by one Mrs. Norma Innes. She was the first female pharmacist in Trinidad and Tobago. And she also chaired Seroptimus International. And, you know, as a project, she decided to give a talk on Alzheimer's disease, the caregivers, and all that it entails. And from there, she just used it as a launching pad. And gradually, it built up from 1996, let's say, and all the way until today. And so we have support groups, you know, throughout Trinidad and Tobago, in the east, in Port of Spain, in San Fernando, and in Tobago. Support groups in all the regions, and we just try our best to educate, to reduce stigma, and to get people less afraid of talking about the disease. Yeah?
Yeah. You speak with so much passion in terms of that support community that you're building. I'm just thinking and wondering, how did you get involved with the organization?
You know, and every time, I don't hear it in myself, but after when I maybe look at shows, I see it, but people always talk about that I speak with it with passion. And I am passionate about it, if only because, but it's more than that, but if only because my father lived with the disease for a number of years. And I'm very careful, very cautious to say lived with the disease, because this is what happens. People are living with the disease. Time before now, people would say they're suffering from. No, they're not suffering. They're living with the disease, and the caregivers like ourselves, we have to inform ourselves enough to know how we treat with these, you know, all our, and it's not just our family members, but those who are living with the disease. And it takes skill, yes, it takes knowledge, it takes know-how. It also takes heart, compassion, patience. So if those things are absent, you're going to have a little difficulty. It's not an easy exercise, caring for someone living with the disease, but it's something that can be done.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that patience, because I think a lot of us, we sometimes we forget to be empathetic and understand that this person is going through something that we don't understand. But before we get into that, I wanted to come to you, Yemi. I know that Michelle had a personal experience in terms of being involved. Was that similar for you, or what led you to the organization?
It actually is. That is my current situation. I have become the primary caregiver for my dad. He has been living with Alzheimer's by our estimate for at least 7 or 8 years. So my mom had been looking after him for the last 4 years, but she herself is an octogenarian. So, you know, the next generation has stepped in.
Yeah.
And it was in seeking information from the association that I met Michelle, and I learned about it. And the opportunity came to give back. So I said, okay, so I'm relatively new to the organization, but really the opportunity to learn about Alzheimer's and the ways that it manifests and tips and tricks to deal with it is really one of the most important factors about the association for me, in my experience, yes.
I'm also wondering about this stigma. Michelle, you mentioned patients, and you're both coming from a situation where you have relatives who are living with Alzheimer's. But I know that there are some people who, unfortunately, they don't have the patience, they don't have the time. Are there organizations they can reach out to, or certain caregivers they can go to get that help for their relatives? And anybody can take this question.
Yes, well, the primary, the place that people call most often is the association. Most often we find that they want a listening ear, and they want to offload. And having done that, and having, you know, received some information from us about the disease, you can just sense, and Yemi is taking our calls now because the phone makes the rounds, because we are all full-time workers.
Right.
And Yemi will say too, you get a sense that they feel a little lighter. I want to say something taking off from where what Yemi said. She's now the primary caregiver, and it's because she decided to attend one of our workshops. We do paid workshops twice a year. We try to them, and Yemi attended, and I asked Yemi, and Yemi accepted, and I was so happy because we don't often get people who are quite willing to join the association and then to take on a role and responsibility.
Well, that's the thing, because I also know that there's a stigma, like people may look down on you because you don't want to take care of your relative who is living with Alzheimer's.
And it's not so much not taking, so I met Yemi's dad once, not quite formally, but he was sitting in a car, and I said to myself, this is just like my dad. He sat there so quietly, so patiently, and if you didn't know, you wouldn't know he has Alzheimer's. Now, he is one of a few who are not busy, who don't wander, who are might not be a little violent, because you have that. And this is why we say at the association, call us. We have education and training programs. We have signed an MOU, second time around, with UWI Roytech, and they provide us with the training. So at the end of that training, you get a certificate of completion. And it tells anybody who sees that certificate that, listen, this person is proficient to a particular degree. They have the knowledge, okay, and some of the skills to take care of someone who's living with the disease. I mean, it's work, but again, if you change mindset, the person is like a child, yet not a child. So you still need to treat the person who's living with the disease with respect. Not as you would treat a child, but understanding that some of the activities will be childlike and so on.
Yemi and Michelle spoke about some of the workshops. Tell us what other sort of activities, initiatives at the association.
Some of the things we've done over the years, apart from the workshops, would include having displays. We would go to events and have booths so that we can share information. We also do fundraising annually. The World Alzheimer's Month is in September, so we will have a number of activities that we'll unveil in the next maybe month or so. We also have done Sip and Paint as one of those activities to raise awareness. So information and education is the base, but we also do fundraising activities as well. And when people call, we can share information, we can share links, because there are a number of useful links that will educate you in your own time and space. So if you can't come to a workshop on a particular day, you can access information. And we're also linked to
ADI, Alzheimer's Disease International.
Yep. So these are sources of information to help. And, to add to what Michelle was saying, I've answered a few phone calls in the last couple of weeks, and every time you start the phone call with a sense of, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? This is my situation. And by the time we end the conversation, there's always, I'm so glad that there's somebody we can call, that there are resources that we can access to help educate. And once you become aware of what to look for, what to do, right? Tips and tricks, it makes the process a little easier. And
I'm happy that the people who are answering the phone have background knowledge, and they have the knowledge. I mean, they have the personal experience, right? But one of the things you said, Yemi, that piqued my interest, that Sip and Paint that you have for the people who have relatives living with Alzheimer's. Any sort of activities you have for the people living with Alzheimer's? Because I know art is closely related to memory retention and that sort of thing. So any sort of activities you have for those living with the disease?
Yes, because the first Sip and Paint we had, a gentleman brought his wife, they were elderly, and she sat there and did the most beautiful painting. And listen, and you can see a sense of joy and peace and calm. Now, prior to COVID, we had memory cafes where, people who are caring for their loved ones can bring them, and they do all sorts of activities. Now that, things have changed a little bit with COVID, some of the elderly people, because our association is filled with elderly people, and I'll say something about that in a little bit, they are a little bit reluctant to come out in groups still. But we are working on that so that we're hoping by the end of the year we will get all the support groups back out so that the members can bring their loved ones, because it's meeting together and just relaxing that helps the situation. And as I speak about elderly members in the association, we are going to be launching very soon a youth arm of the association. It's the first time we are doing this. We have a few young people who are, and Yemi will talk about the newsletter just now, but we have a few young people, and we are saying the young people today become the caregivers of tomorrow. What better time than now to learn about the disease, so this thing isn't sprung upon you and that you know about it. And as I say, we are trying to reduce that stigma, because it's not just about elderly people. We have received phone calls in the last few months with people in their 50s right here in Trinidad and Tobago who are living with the disease, and we call that early onset. We have people even younger than 50. So these are the things we have to look out for. And I think we have to get to a point where we understand that we are made up mind, body, spirit. So we go to church to feed that spirit, or we go to mosque, we go to whatever denomination or religion we belong to. We go to the doctor when we are physically ill, but somehow with the mental part, and although Alzheimer's is not such a mental disease, it's neurological, somehow we are afraid to talk about that head thing, but we need to be doing it.
Now, guys, we're almost out of time. I want to give you 30 seconds each. I'm coming to you first, Michelle. Tell us how the public can get involved. 30 seconds. I'm holding you to it.
The public can get involved by emailing us. First of all, alztrinbago@gmail.com. Or they can call us at 645-6... I get the number mixed up because it's almost close to my own number. It's 345-6549.
Right.
345-6549. And please get involved, even if you do not have somebody living with. We need the help. We need the help.
And I'm coming quickly to you, Yemi. I know that Michelle mentioned the newsletter and any other plans you have for the rest of the year.
We are going to be having our major celebrations, activities in September. So look out for that. We're on Facebook. So that is one way people can get in touch with us as well and find out what exactly is taking place. We'll have our newsletters coming out. I would love to give you a date, but I won't. So look out for that as well.
Yes. Ladies, I mean, thank you so much for coming in this morning. All the best. And I look forward to see more activities and more initiatives coming from the association.
Thank you
Not
so
just
much.
for your 23rd anniversary, but beyond. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you
for having us.
And that was President of the Association, the Alzheimer's Association of TNT, Michelle Saunders-Clavery, and Public Relations Officer Yemi Ogumbanke, just sharing some information about the association, some of the projects and initiatives, and how you too can get involved with the association. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.